because here we go. All right. So welcome everybody to a discussion on or a presentation of the SimpleJustice Pro Bono portal. Today we are going to talk a little bit generally about what SimpleJustice is, go through some of the various pieces of SimpleJustice itself. It's more than just the portal that we'll see today. It actually consists of several different components. We'll talk about the pro bono portal, and we'll kind of go through some various components of that. And then I'm actually going to do a demo of sort of the life of pro bono opportunities, focusing on cases and outreaches, and how those would be shared between a legal server site and the SimpleJustice Pro Bono portal, how a pro bono attorney might interact with those opportunities, and then how that kind of works on the legal server end. I'm focusing on cases and outreaches in particular because this is only a 1-hour call. There is also clinics functionality as well in that, which we can certainly talk about on either a follow-up call or at a different time, but I just wanted to kind of give everybody an overview of how these in general work. Then we're going to talk about some other components of the SimpleJustice portal and kind of wrap it up from there. So talking a little bit about what SimpleJustice is. So SimpleJustice is, in reality, it has 3 different components. There are knowledge resources, there are legal issues, and then there's the portal page that we're going to focus on today. We'll talk a little bit about knowledge resources, and we'll actually see some knowledge resources in action in the portal. We'll talk a little bit about legal issues at the beginning and at the end. But again, that portal page is really what we are going to focus on. These all sort of make up an ecosystem of information that is surfaced outside of legal server to help pro bono advocates and help seekers access information that actually lives in legal server. So for those of you who have pro bono attorneys who maybe do log into your site and who do look at information in legal server, and you're thinking, I'd really rather that stay completely separate, the pro bono portal is one of those options. Something just to note that the tools were developed primarily within the disaster grant funding cycle with partners at Lone Star Legal Aid, who worked with Legal Aid of Northwest Texas and Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid, as well as Legal Services of Greater Miami, Inc. and Montana Legal Services. And so just a thank you to everybody there. One of the main things about SimpleJustice as sort of that suite of tools is that it really is underlying all of the components of SimpleJustice are a set of really powerful APIs. So if any of you have seen our API documentation, you will have seen a place in that documentation that talks about the SimpleJustice APIs. You can see sort of here a set of those with knowledge resources, ways to update organizations, ways to create and update users, law firms and pro bono attorneys, and then modules for those opportunities. So, the actual surfacing of all of the information that is on the portal, that's all surfaced by a set of APIs. The portal is, kind of our endpoint for those APIs, but those APIs can be used in other contexts by other agencies and by other endpoints. So if, for example, you're looking at knowledge resources, or you're looking at our case opportunities, and you want to surface those on a wholly different platform. You want those to be somewhere else that is neither legal server nor the SimpleJustice portal. Those APIs are out there and you can harness them for other endpoints. Again, the SimpleJustice portal is really, our endpoint that those APIs feed into. The other important thing about SimpleJustice is that it's really about communities. So within SimpleJustice, an underlying SimpleJustice is really a community of legal server agencies. It can be one legal server agency. For example, the project that we have with Montana has just the one legal server, site, and all of the information lives on that site and is surfaced to SimpleJustice through that site. The partners in Texas is a 3-partner program, or a 3-partner initiative, and there's data from each of those programs that surfaced into SimpleJustice. So the first thing in any SimpleJustice project that we do is we establish a new SimpleJustice community. And again, that's one or more agencies. So, if you are looking at a statewide pro bono initiative, SimpleJustice can show all of the case opportunities that exist across multiple legal server instances, multiple legal server agencies in one centralized place. Same thing with trainings, which are really outreaches in legal server, but are billed as a place to add and display pro bono trainings. Same thing with clinics. Again, that can be on just one legal server site that belongs to a community. It can be on multiple. But one of the things that really gives the SimpleJustice platforms a lot of their strength is that it really is more than just, it has the capacity to have more than just one legal server instance feed into it. So these are the 3 components of SimpleJustice. The portal that we'll talk about at length in the rest of this session. Knowledge resources that are pieces of legal education materials. They can be aimed at either help seekers, people who are maybe applying for assistance or who are looking for some sort of assistance, or they can be aimed at pro bono attorneys. And we'll see a little bit on the pro bono attorney side, what that is going to look like. And those can be any sort of resource. So we have options for video, for text resources, for files like PDFs, URLs. There's a couple of other types there. And those are entered in your legal server site and part of a common database. So they can be shared outside of, well, across various communities. So, there may be situations where there is information that is applicable on, say, the federal level, and you can actually share those with people who are outside of your specific SimpleJustice community. You can also keep it just in community, so it's only available to those agencies that are within your SimpleJustice community. The last one is our legal issues identifier. This sort of at first blush seems the most sort of different than the rest. But the legal issues identifier, and we're not going to get too terribly far into this particular tool, but it does provide a set of common legal issues that can be identified on a case, and it allows you to set up a set of proxy fields to be evaluated before that issue is identified as being potentially present in a case. And so really, I've been focused, and this session focuses on the pro bono portal part of SimpleJustice. There is a matching part of the SimpleJustice portal that addresses the needs of help seekers, of legal aid applicants to do some initial triage or eligibility screenings, create an account in the SimpleJustice portal, from there be able to apply for services, and if those, if that application is accepted and opened, to be able to do some communication with the attorney, whether that be through messaging, which can be done in our message center and saved as a case note to the case, or sharing documents. And the legal issue identifier can be used in either the application phase, which is really just an online intake, or in the triage phase to say, okay, the following questions were answered in this way, and we think that this is not just an eviction, but this is also a lockout, or there's a warranty of habitability issue here, even though the person has not directly selected warranty of habitability, because who knows what that means. So that legal issues identifier uses the expressions editor that many of you will recognize from other great hits, such as Referral Hub and Guided Navigation, to help you create some rules that say, hey, this legal issue is potentially at play here. Again, that piece is one of the areas that we're not really going to focus on in this session. If you're interested in learning more about that, just let me know. There's contact information on our last slide here. And that'll be covered in there's a couple of different ways that I'm thinking about covering that in a different Tuesday session, likely early next year. So this is our knowledge resources. We'll see how this displays in the portal when we get there. But you can kind of see this looks a lot like all the other things you'd expect to see in Legal Server. Folks who have knowledge resources enabled because they're already part of a SimpleJustice project or a SimpleJustice community can go to their admin tab, and they can type in knowledge resources, and this will come up. And you can see that this looks a lot, we've got places for things like an internal name, the type of resource, whether or not it's published, which is analogous to active or inactive, whether it should be shared with SimpleJustice or whether it should be Legal Server only, the different audiences which pull into some filtering that you can do in the SimpleJustice portal. Gives you some options for location and legal problems. You can either say, yes, this is a resource that is available outside the community or not. And then that resource content, which is where you're actually adding the resource itself. Knowledge resources can be surfaced in online intakes for those groups who are, again, connected with the SimpleJustice community, which is why we've got that translation option. If you have multiple languages on your site and somebody chooses their process language and you have different translations of that knowledge resource, it will automatically switch. And then this just shows sort of the legal issues again. One thing I did want to call out, For those of you who are interested, legal issues is generally identified and evaluated within a guided navigation. So there's a specific segment type called the Legal Issues Evaluator that pulls in all of those questions that you've identified as either being asked or being evaluated in order to set that legal issue, whether it's not there, whether it's probable. You can kind of see there's a accompanying list view that will flag your various legal issues as possible. And then there's an accompanying auxiliary process that allows somebody to manually come in, review the answers and say, yep, this is a legal issue that's at play. And you can then make whatever changes to your legal problem code, to your special legal problem code, or to your just general, case, either case data or just how you're handling the case based on that information. So those are the other kind of components of SimpleJustice. Again, our focus today is going to be on the portal, and I did, because for those of you who know me, you know how much I love a good flow chart. And as I was sort of thinking through different pieces here, it just sort of helped me to organize. So our portal process, our portal itself starts with a content management system. This is a splash page. This is where people, before they log into SimpleJustice, will go. And we'll see what this looks like in just a second. And on that page, there are two options. One is to volunteer, and one is to get help. Obviously, the admin of each SimpleJustice site can choose whether or not they want, which one they want, if they want both. Maybe they only want the pro bono portion. They don't want the Helpseeker portion. Maybe they just want the Helpseeker portion. They don't want the pro bono section. That's a admin by admin basis. There's a control there for that. For the pro bono attorneys, when they're asked a series of questions to create an account, and they are asked to apply for or apply to one or more specific legal server agencies. Those agencies are then notified that they've got a pending pro bono attorney who is part of SimpleJustice, who for them to then approve or not. If they don't approve, then sort of nothing happens. If they do approve that pro bono attorney request, a new user is created or an existing user is connected to that pro bono, to that SimpleJustice account. At that point, and obviously, if a pro bono attorney applies to 5 different, if you have 5 different agencies in a SimpleJustice community, and the pro bono attorney requests access to all 5, and 4 out of 5 say that's fine, and 1 says, no, that's not okay, then that pro bono attorney will be connected to 4 sites, but will not be able to access or express interest in any opportunities from the 5th site. They'll be able to see them. They'll be able to say, I'm interested, and a second request is sent to that 5th agency, but they're not able to assign or take a case from that agency. Once they are added to, a SimpleJustice community and hooked up to one or more agencies, that's when they have the option to view and express interest in case, training, or clinic opportunities. That's also where they're able to view or favor knowledge resources. once they express interest in a case or a training or a clinic opportunity, there's an approval process that happens on the legal server side by whoever at your agency is in charge of such things. And then all of those approved cases, clinics, trainings show up on my dashboard, where they can see and they can access various pieces of information about the case or about the training or about the clinic, depending on what you allow. And this is a site-by-site option. They're able to, if they want to, for example, add time into a case, there's a link that takes them out to the legal server. Agency allows them to log in using their SimpleJustice. The fact that they're already logged in as a SimpleJustice user, and then add time and access what's usually a pro bono restricted profile. I'm not going to get into the Helpseeker kind of side of things. There's time at the end where we can talk more in depth about that, but just sort of wanted to give people a lay of the land there. So starting with the kind of CMS, this is, and actually, so this is, you can kind of see up here, this is what is presented to, the whole world. So if people were to just type in, your regular URL, you have a home page, you have an about page, you have a news page, you can spotlight individual pro bono attorneys or cases. And then there's a place for help seekers to get help, or for volunteers to volunteer. All of that information, the pictures, the text, that's all controlled through a content management system that the community administrator has access to. And we'll see a little bit of how that looks and works. We're not going to get too terribly in depth into it, but that's sort of oftentimes the first place that your volunteers or your help seekers are going to see and interact with the project, is that splash page that has a content management system that you can control without, talking to legal server. We don't update these things. These are all within the community administrator's power. And then it's just helpful to talk a little bit about the types of SimpleJustice portal users. I find that kind of setting some of the stage here can be useful. So there are your regular pro bono attorneys who are going to see their cases and opportunities that are applicable to them. That information is aggregated, and an individual can be designated as a firm pro bono coordinator. So they're going to see basically a roll-up of all of the cases or trainings or clinics that pro bono users who are affiliated with their firm have done. So it's a special designation on that user. The pro bono firm coordinator can also, have their own cases, but it kind of, rolls up into a larger dashboard for them. That firm functionality relies on the organizational affiliations in legal server. Individual pro bono users can designate, say, hey, I'm part of this firm, but there's an approval process both for the firm at the firm level, both for the firm pro bono coordinator and for the legal server admin. And then there is the SimpleJustice community administrator. There's usually, there's generally one from every agency, although some communities only have one for the full community, and it's just part of, they're only an employee of a specific agency. But this is the person who sets up and changes the CMS, the SimpleJustice splash page, There are also folks who can kind of keep an eye on who the members of SimpleJustice, not necessarily, excuse me, sorry, I had to sneeze there. They're the people who kind of keep an eye on the SimpleJustice users, not the legal server users, right? Every person in SimpleJustice generally has a legal server user account linked to them. But the SimpleJustice community administrator kind of keeps the SimpleJustice side of things clear and moving forward, and keeps an eye on those. There's also the Helpseeker, which again, we're not going to get too much into on this training. All right, so I am going to pause my share real quick, and I am going to come out of and resume my share. And folks should be seeing simplejustice/demo.legalserver.org. This is our internal demo site. So this is, exactly what I showed before, where you can see, some headlines, some urgent cases, some volunteer spotlights, and some of the about and news and case pieces up above. Because I'm a legal server employee and have a slightly different sign in, if I click on this volunteer, just so everyone can see, you have a register option. And I bet that this is going to take me right into my my dashboard. But you do have an opportunity for volunteers to register. Again, that's what kicks off the process to get approval on the various legal server side sites. When somebody applies for access or creates their user account, applies for access, and when they get accepted or rejected, notifications go out through email to the pro bono attorney. One of the fields that is required is an email field. So you can kind of see, so the pro bono attorney gets notification at just about every step. There are some emails like, you have created a SimpleJustice account that go out automatically through SimpleJustice. There are other emails such as you have been connected to this specific site, and the text for that email is totally configurable on a legal server by legal server instance. And we'll see where that happens in just a second. So I'm on my demo site and I am logged in. This is a community user who also has pro bono cases assigned. So kind of pulling a little bit of double duty. Up here at the top are my dashboards for your regular pro bono attorneys. They're just going to have one option that says My Dashboard. For those who are community admins as well, we have this, it's called the Demo Dashboard, but that's just because the internal name for this site is Demo. It would have your site name's dashboard instead. And then if the user is a firm coordinator, they'll have another dashboard that has the name of their firm and dashboard. So from here, I have sort of an overview. We can see that my demo community admin is hooked up to two different sites in legal server, our AGM demo site and our GPDC demo site. So those are the two legal server instances that this user is hooked up with. You can see that there's one open and active case that I'm working on. There's one total case that I'm working on. So far, I have not signed up or participated in any clinics. I haven't reported any time. I haven't done any CLEs. I have no upcoming trainings, but I have attended one training. And down here, I haven't answered any questions. That's part of the Helpseeker dashboard that we'll get into towards the end. There are a couple of options for the Helpseeker dashboard, including a Q&A platform. And so and because this is our demo site, everything is turned on, but this particular user has not answered any questions. I can see all of my opportunities right here. So if I come to cases, there we go. You can see these are various cases that are available through AGM, that are available on the AGM and GPDC sites. So this one is marked as urgent. I've got a client seeks assistance applying for entitlements. I can go ahead and I can read more here. And there's more information, including people helped and legal topics and all these other things. And I can express interest. Before I do that, I'm just going to go back out to cases really quick to show a couple of other pieces here. So there's some filtering that you can choose with people helped or legal topic, skills, and by agency. As a user, you can specify in your registration process some defaults for these, but don't necessarily have to. And then if I go into my read more again, and if I say that I'm interested, it's going to pop up and say the next page may contain personally identifiable information so that you can do a conflict check prior to accepting. Do you want to continue? And I can say yes. And then this is very similar for those of you who have pro bono opportunities elsewhere. You know, it's got many of the same fields that you will recognize, and it allows me to go through and confirm with each step that I'm still interested, and then provides some information. So it's saying I'm interested in helping. I can enter a phone number, which is required, and any comments. And I can submit that. So I've got my little thank you for expressing interest. If I go to interested cases, it generally shows the interested cases that I've expressed interest in, but that I haven't yet been assigned to, with an option to withdraw there. And obviously I'll figure out what is going on that page. If I go into my AGM site, and I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger because it's reset fairly small. So now I've kind of switched personas, right? Before I was I was a pro bono attorney in the SimpleJustice portal. Now I'm on the legal server side. I'm a legal server admin. Perhaps I am somebody who's responsible for the pro bono project. If I come into my admin tab and I spell SimpleJustice right, I can see I've got a list of SimpleJustice opportunity interests. And here's where I'm going to see this is the matter that I was just interested in. It's got a user. Your users will look a little bit more human readable than this. It's got the matter. It's got the date, and you can click into any of these to see more information. And then I can either approve or I cannot approve. For this one, I'm going to approve. And I'm going to come back over. And with any luck, this will have updated to 2 open and active cases and 2 total cases. If I click in to view those cases, you can see I now have more information. And if I wanted to, and again, this is a setting that can be done on a instance by instance basis. If I click on view in legal server, it automatically launches me into the case profile. Now, this is the full case profile. Most groups set up a pro bono restricted profile with less information, which is what they will use for everybody, all the users who are created with SimpleJustice. So as soon as that pro bono user is created, they're assigned the role of pro bono restricted, which restricts their access to maybe some very basic things, like if you do want your users to just enter time only to see the time slip. In this situation, I see everything, and that's just because this user was set up as an administrator so that I could show you all the different pieces without having to log out and log back in. But you can definitely, and most groups do definitely, limit what pro bono folks can see and do on a case. And some groups elect not to allow pro bono attorneys to log into their site, at all, and that's definitely fine. And you can definitely do that within SimpleJustice. I want to take 1 second and just talk the way that this case became an opportunity in SimpleJustice in the first place was under Actions. There is a SimpleJustice pro bono opportunity page, auxiliary process. This is no longer available because I've already taken it, but it usually starts off as yes, available. The little red box that says, yes, this is urgent is there because urgent was set to yes. And then it has all of the different options that you would expect to see in your regular opportunity, pro bono opportunity block, right? These should all be very familiar. So as you're setting it up, if you wanted to let legal server staff or the assignment regarding this case know that an interest was expressed, right? You can set it up so that those people are notified when I, as a SimpleJustice user, or anybody, right, whether they're interacting with this opportunity through SimpleJustice or not, expresses interest. This user right here is now an assignment, right? They're a pro bono assignment because they, on SimpleJustice, they expressed interest and were assigned that case, and that's why they're listed here. You'll also see down towards the bottom a whole bunch of SimpleJustice specific fields here. And if I go into admin and I edit this form, you'll see those are here because I clicked show SimpleJustice fields. That's exactly how you set up a SimpleJustice pro bono opportunity on cases, right? Is that it's the same pro bono opportunity block. If you check the show SimpleJustice fields, it'll show those fields and it will publish that onto SimpleJustice. If you are not set up with a SimpleJustice community and you click on show the SimpleJustice fields, the fields will show, but you're not going to be able to do much with them because you're not part of a SimpleJustice community. So if you're not already set up, you can just ignore that button. But just know sort of on the back end, because this is for administrators as much as anybody else, that is what we're looking for. I'm going to switch gears just for a second. This site does not have an outreaches tab. So I just put in, I guess it's called campaigns, that's why. So I'm on my, these are outreaches. They're also how we publish trainings within SimpleJustice. So if I come into any one of these, and I go to actions, and obviously, right, your site looks different than this site. This is a demo site. And I've got my SimpleJustice pro bono opportunity. I mark it as a current opportunity, and I see many of the same options here, right? So this is just the same set of things. Well, let me actually do. Families. And you can do any specific that you'd like here. And pick any of these skill types that may apply. Again, these help in some of the matching between the pro bono attorney and the opportunity. And then if you want to CC anybody's email, you can do that when an interest is expressed. So now with any luck, when I come back into SimpleJustice and I go to opportunities and I go to trainings, I should see my working with families, come learn more, that's been published. And I can read more here. And I can express interest. I'm going to put the same thing. So I have expressed my interest in that training. And again, when I come back out and I go to admin, I go back to my SimpleJustice opportunities, come into outreaches. I see I've expressed that interest, and I go to actions and I approve. And again, with any luck, if I come back to my dashboard got 2 trainings attended, which is likely because I'm pretty sure I put that, that was actually marked for, yeah, my, well, this is definitely the training. I'm wondering if my headline was just different, but that was the training. And because it's already passed on 6/2, it's showing that it is in the past and I've already attended. There's similar functionality on clinics, which I'm not going to show today, because it does take some changes to the clinics module setup, adding volunteer slots instead of just users, and a few other tweaks that takes a little bit to kind of set up and go through. So I'm not going to get into that today, but just please know that there is similar functionality there that you can use. You can also see my slides in case my demo did not work, but I would have a backup. Just wanted to click on present here. So that's kind of some of the core. Actually, there was one other thing that I wanted to show. You can also see knowledge resources here. So we had talked about knowledge resources and kind of setting those up. You can see what those look like here. As a pro bono attorney, I can take a look at more details. You know, click on this link. You can see them in multiple languages. If that is helpful, you can print out whatever is here. You also have an option to rate all of these, and that information gets both saved and can be surfaced in reports on the legal server end. And again, it's just if I'm here as a legal server admin or a legal server person and I type in knowledge resources, I see all of the knowledge resources from both that are shared outside of other people's communities and any knowledge resources that are within my own. And I can come in and I can view those and work with those. I can also favorite any of these resources. This is especially helpful if you are providing any of the knowledge resources in the form of answers to questions, or if they're just knowledge resources that you go back to time after time. So just want to kind of point out the knowledge resources and how they look from the SimpleJustice end. And come back in here into presenting. I just want to stop and take a second to talk about the Helpseeker part of the portal, which allows an agency to either set up a short triage process or just allow folks to create a SimpleJustice account as somebody who needs legal help. Once they're in, there are a couple of components. They can ask a question, which is part of a just general Q&A offering, where they can, without creating an attorney-client relationship, without seeing much information about the Helpseeker, they can just ask some general questions. Obviously, this does not work for every state, and this is an option, but it does not have to be turned on. But those questions are then surfaced to the pro bono attorneys on the pro bono attorney side, who can then go ahead and answer them. They can also submit applications, which relies on guided navigation and online intake. Those applications get routed. So it's basically an online intake within guided navigation that folks filled out. Those get routed to specific legal server agencies who then accept or reject the case. If that case is accepted, you can kind of see a little bit of what this looks like here with just some information. You can share documents both from the client side and from the legal server side. So there's an additional option on the documents profile that allows you to share them with a applicant, or with at this point a client on the portal page. And you can also communicate through the message center basically with your case from the SimpleJustice portal. This is just some portal review. I'm not going to go too far in depth. It's a lot of words on a slide, but just sort of, in case other folks need to use the slide deck or want to see the slide deck in the future, it just kind of summarizes the pro bono portal versus the Helpseeker portal, and some of the functionality at a high level there. Just some general next steps. We do have documentation. You can just search SimpleJustice on our help site. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. If you're interested in beta testing, also reach out to me. Everybody asks, so there is going to be an additional charge for the SimpleJustice portal, likely both a setup and an ongoing monthly charge. That pricing is determined as part of our exploration calls. It kind of depends on what components of SimpleJustice you want to use and what that's going to look like. Kind of depends on that set of functionality. So, there will not be kind of a standard one set price, but we'll have some conversations and come up with some pricing for you. And then I'm hoping to have a Helpseeker specific portal call, much like this one, kind of a companion to this one, in the next few months. And when I looked at the next few months, I realized that may put me into January. So I'm just going to call it early 2022 with the holidays and everything. So please look for that. With that, I'm going to thank everybody for their time.